Welcome to Azeroth United, a weekly podcast about World of Warcraft. My name is Denethar, and I am your host.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Today is Tuesday, July 10th, and this is episode 43 of Azeroth United. We have a great show lined up for you today. We'll be covering the usual suspects, some War Within beta and pre-patch. We've got some Season of Discovery Phase 4, and just a little bit of Mythic Pandaria remix. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and enjoy. And as always, if you have any questions or comments about the podcast, or if you have a particular topic that you would like to hear us discuss, please email us at azerothunitedpod@gmail.com. Also, if you enjoy the show, please consider leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That really helps out our distribution. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, please consider giving us a like and a subscribe. That also really helps the distribution. So thank you for that. Before I get to the news, I wanted to do just a quick rundown of what I got up to last week in WoW. It was a little bit of a mixed bag. I did some beta, some shaman testing. I resurrected my restoration shaman from season 3. Yeah, she was season 3. So I got her geared up and ready to go for the War Within. Ran a Mythic 2, I think it was an Altharis, which, you know, it's funny. This late in the season, it's really fun to do a key as a brand new healer or a brand new to a particular spec because people just don't care. They really just don't care anymore. There's stuff on the ground. I'm going to stand in it and then get mad. Or there was a monk in at the end boss who targeted just a random group of guys over to the side. And when asked why he pulled them, he's like, I missed. So, you know, it's it's fun, but we were successful in our run and had quite a good time. So I'll definitely be doing some more shaman over the next couple of weeks as we are heading into the pre-patch. So very much looking forward to that and getting all of the talent tree changes and everything. So most of the rest of my time was spent between Mop Remix and getting my other characters kind of ready, making sure that I'm offloading as many trade goods as I can, making sure bags are cleaned out, the banks are cleaned out. I have a character who's perpetually at 2,000 flight stones, and I can't upgrade any of their gear, so trying to figure that one out. Just a lot of fun trying to get ready. To me, this is one of the most exciting periods of WoW is the, oh my gosh, the new expansion's coming out. I can't wait. It's so exciting. I really like it. It's fun. Some people may not, and that's okay. But to me, this is, I've got my spreadsheet. I've got all of my alts lined up. I ranked them by, who do I want to play? Which is going to be the most likely to be a good class in the War Within. Who do I think I want to play? And it turns out I'm just going to shelve them for another expansion, that sort of thing. I did do a count, and when I take into consideration my Mop Remix 70s, who will become War Within characters in a month and a half, I have 18 level 70s. So obviously that's not the most, but it's a lot, and it is a lot trying to keep track of it all. I have characters who I haven't played since season 2. I have one character who's still sitting in Stormwind, my second mage, still sitting in Stormwind, ready to go to the Dragon Isles, and still not going. Same thing with my second Demon Hunter. So, it's what it is. But with the pre-patch coming in soon, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit, but with the pre-patch coming in soon, there should be some good alt leveling going on there. So if you do have an alt that you haven't been playing, this is now a really good time to get that going. The other thing that I feel like was a good attempt by Blizzard at the end of Dragonflight to kind of coordinate the Last Hurrah quest line, because I like how it gives you gear, because even a character who maybe you haven't been playing this season and has last season's gear or whatever, you can jump in, you can do that. You'll get a bunch of pieces of veteran gear, you get a piece of champion gear, you get a bunch of Drake stones. It's a really nice way to kind of jump back in and get an alt. The one thing that I do miss from this patch that we haven't gotten, I guess we're going to get in the pre-patch, is some sort of purchasable gear. A currency that I can grind like the Dream Surge was at the end of Season 2. That was really nice. But, here we are. So, anyway, aside from that, I didn't really do a whole bunch else in World of Warcraft. I spent a lot of time dealing with some IRL stuff, so I wasn't able to get a whole bunch done. But anyway, enough of that. We got a lot to talk about, so let's get into it.
It's time for the news.
In Blizzard news, there's a couple of things, and I'm trying to break up the news a little bit and make it a little bit more clear so that I'm talking about, here's what's news for World of Warcraft, here's news for the War Within beta that's coming up, here's news for Season of Discovery, that sort of thing. So in just WoW news, the new 6-month subscription mount is available, and I love Blizzard's blog article because it's, if you know the Mythic Farak mount, the owl dragon riding mount, this is a blue version of that. So the blog article is, have a hoot with owlsome friends when you purchase a 6-month subscription. Okay. It's on the store as well. So if you don't have a 6-month subscription, you can still purchase it if you really want it. But I mean, it's a cool looking mount. It's basically it's the same as the Farak mount, except that it's blue themed instead of red and orange themed. So it's pretty cool. It's called the Charming Courier, and if you are a Classic player for Cataclysm Classic, you can get the swoopy owl pet. No mount for Classic players, but you do get a new pet that looks basically like the pet version of the mount. So that's pretty cool. Sometimes when we get these 6-month mounts, it's like, oh, wow, great, thanks. I got another worm mount or something. But I guess this one's cool. I'm sure I could find a character who this could be their mount, at least for a little while in the War Within. So I haven't claimed it yet on my Battle.net account, but it's sitting there waiting for me. It's, oh, you have a new present. I was like, oh, cool. Oh, it's just a 6-month subscription mount. So, this is a pretty cool one. And, I like that they do a recolor of the Mythic mounts because, a lot of players, it's not even in their realm of realism to say, ooh, I want to get that mount. It's like, you're not gonna, because you'll just never get in there. So, this is a nice thing from Blizzard to give to us plebeians. So, I like it. All right. In other news, the Mythic Dungeon International Great Push, Group A concluded their round last weekend. The group's mandatory, Mage, and Pedros per hour completed the 1-2-3 finish. So Pedros per hour actually tied with Shinra Tensei, but they won the tiebreaker on time. So while your goal is to push the key as high as you can, doing it quickly also really matters, especially if you're not the top guild. So the top 2 guilds, Mandatory and Mage, both completed a 22 Algathar Academy, which was the highest key that was completed. Mandatory also completed a 21 Halls of Infusion, which is just nuts. So those 3 guilds will be moving on to the finals, and we'll have Group B this weekend coming up. And then we'll know who's going to be in the grand finale. Now, this Group A, this was $30,000 for just the group prize pool. Next Group B will also be $30,000, and then $200,000 for the grand finale of the final 6 groups. So, pretty cool. Blizzard's throwing out some real cash to these guilds to participate in their esports. I know that they're really trying to get the esports thing to happen, and I'm glad to see it. But I don't know. It's kind of interesting that they're really putting out some money. I would be so I think it's interesting because esports, it works a lot like golf, where if you don't win a tournament or at least do well, you're not getting a check. You don't get the big giant check from Happy Gilmore, versus like a basketball or a baseball where you just get paid to play, whether you win or not. So I definitely think it's an interesting dynamic. The players are definitely encouraged to be good. But I could see a future where maybe players are paid and the goal is just to win, and you pay for the best players that you can get. So you build a team rather than trying to. I don't know. I'm wondering what the future of esports is, and I think that might be a topic for a future, either a future podcast or a future video. But what is esports going to look like in 5 years? Where are we going to go with it? So yeah, definitely something interesting. But yeah, if you haven't checked out the Great Push, I would definitely recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It's really interesting to watch some of these groups, how they do these polls, how they get this done. I mean, this isn't the MDI. So the MDI last season 3's tournament, they were doing 22s, 23s, 24s under the old format. So these groups are basically doing 30s, 31s, 32s under the old format, which is just bonkers. So well done to those groups that made it. Better luck next time to the groups that didn't. And I guess we'll see going forward. So yeah, Group B is this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All right. The last thing that I wanted to mention about Dragonflight is that Blizzard put out a post on the forums from Kyvax, and in typical Blizzard fashion, they are not giving us a date for the pre-patch. So it says, "Hello, Champions Alliance of the Horde. Let it be known that Dragonflight Season 4 will close soon. Players who make a big push to end the season will want to get started on their final weeks of efforts." In other words, if you want that the title for PvP or for Mythic Plus, you're running out of time. When Season 4 ends, it will no longer be possible to earn PvP seasonal rewards, titles, or Dragonflight Season 4 rankings. For a time after the end of Season 4, most Mythic Plus achievements and rewards will remain earnable. So that's things like Keystone Hero, Keystone... Oh gosh, I can't even think of what it is. Anyway, those things will all still be available during the pre-patch, but they don't want to give specific dates because they don't want to commit to anything yet. Probably for internal reasons, they're probably still finishing up some development. They've got a milestone that they need to make before they can commit to a specific date. Coming from the world of IT, I know that sometimes you do a go no go. Is what they call it. And basically it's a meeting where everyone gets together and they says, "Are we good to go?" And each of the teams says, "Yeah, we're good. But if one team says no, then the meeting ends in a no-go and you don't do the push. So in this case, that's probably what's happening with Blizzard is they've got a bunch of different development milestones that they're trying to achieve. And if one group says, "Hey, we're not ready yet," then yeah, they can't commit to the timeline. So anyway, it says we'll let you know exact dates and times for the end of Season 4 and the beginning of the War Within Season 1 as soon as possible. Please keep an eye on our official news site for that and all other news about WoW. So I don't know if there's anything in here that would indicate that there might be a delay in the War Within launch, but I don't know. That definitely there's a feeling of we want to tell you the date. And it's probably going to be July 23rd, but we can't yet because of these internal development reasons. So anyway, hopefully we will find out soon. I was hoping we'd get an announcement this morning, but that turned out not to be the case. And so here we are still speculating, still spitballing on whether or not we're going to get the pre-patch in 2 weeks. So there you go. All right. In the War Within news, so there's a couple of things that came out about the War Within that, so I'm trying really hard not to report on every little, this spell had a 10% increase in damage. That stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't help anyone to know that a spell got a buff because it could get a debuff or it could get a nerf tomorrow. It could get another buff next Thursday. It could get another nerf next Friday. But Blizzard is trying to communicate better with the player base and trying to give us a little bit more information about things that are coming. So this one was about the weekly cash rewards in the War Within. And it's a forum post, and it's a little long, but basically what it boils down to is people saw on the beta build that the weekly cash was rewarding adventurer gear. And I think there was some concern from people that are like, hey, wait a minute. I thought players who do open world content were supposed to be able to get decent gear. And so they addressed it. Hi, folks. In this week's new beta build, you will see that weekly caches like the Pinnacle cache have text indicating that they give Adventurer gear when they previously rewarded Veteran gear. We want to let you know how these caches are going to work. The first 2 caches you earn each week will, from any source: Earth and Theater, Awakening the Machine, Spreading the Light, Ash-Kahet Pacts, Special Assignment World Quest, and the major weekly quest in Dornogal will give you a piece of random gear. Caches that work this way have text telling you that they work this way. If it's one of those first 2 caches earned that week and the War Within Season 1 hasn't begun yet, the cache will contain Adventurer gear. Once Season 1 begins, that gear will be Veteran gear, and the text will be updated to reflect that. We didn't want anyone to worry about outdoor players. Basically, and it goes on, what it boils down to is, so there's 6 things that you can get gear from in world content. Not counting the delves, where we're just the world events that they listed out: Earth and Theater, Awakening the Machine, Spreading the Light, blah, blah, blah. And your major weekly quest, which is the equivalent to like the last hurrah. So the first 2 of those that you do every week will give you a piece of Adventurer gear in the pre-patch. Once the pre-patch is over, they will give you Veteran gear. They don't want people having a source of Veteran gear before Season 1 starts, because then players who want to do dungeons and don't want to do the open world content will feel compelled to do open world content to get that Veteran gear. They're trying to make sure that you only have to do the content that you want to do. Do the content you enjoy, do the content you want. Don't feel pressured or forced into doing content you don't want to do. This is one of the reasons why delves have been hyped up the way that they have, is because they want players to feel like they can go and do content and not feel like they have to go do Mythic Plus or Raid in order to get good gear. So I think this is good. The other thing is that they mentioned the first 4 caches you earn each week from any source, same list from above, will give you 100 coffer key fragments, which can be immediately combined to get a coffer key for use in bountiful delves. So basically what this means is you need a key you get a key every week that you can use in delves to get a good reward. Basically, this is what they talked about. They don't want you to get a great reward from every single delve that you do. You get like a really good reward once a week. And that's these coffer keys that you're going to get from doing the world content. So you only get coffer keys from 4 caches. So there's 6 things that you could do. 4 of them are going to give you keys. 2 of them will give you a piece of Veteran gear. We're talking about Season 1 here. 2 of them will give you a piece of Veteran gear. So if you really just want to do the bare minimum, you're going to do 4 world events. If you don't care about delves and you just want the gear, you're going to do 2 world events. I know it's kind of weird. They said philosophically this is a shift from Dragonflight. In Dragonflight, the game asks you to complete specific quests, earn 1,500 reputation, plant 5 seeds, complete the super bloom, etc. to get Veteran gear from outdoor content. That was good. Making sure outdoor players have access to this level of gear is definitely a positive. But we think the War Within can do better by not requiring specific activities. Instead, you'll be able to complete your choice of 2 of 6 activities to maximize the Veteran gear earned. To maximize your coffer keys as well, you need to complete 2 more. But again, you get to choose which ones you like. If there's a zone you don't like, or an activity you don't want to, or you don't enjoy, we don't want you to feel like you are going to be left behind for not doing it. Outdoor activities in the War Within are meant to be approached on your own terms, based on your own preferences. So there you go. Yeah, this is pretty cool. I like this change. They're trying to really go with the philosophy of respecting the players' times, whether those players are outdoor content players or they are dungeon and raid players or PvP players or whatever it is. They're really trying to focus on that, and I think that's a good change. I think that Blizzard of the past would not have done this. They would have said, "Oh, too bad, deal with it." And unfortunately, that was the reality for many years and many expansions. You just had to do what they had outlined. Here, they're giving you a lot of choice, a lot of agency for the players, and I think it's a good change. But honestly, I'm curious to see how this is going to work in practice. Are players going to do those 6 events, even though the last 2 don't really give you anything, just to finish them? It's like if you only got credit for doing a Grand Hunt and a Feast, are you going to go do Dragonsbane Keep? Probably not. You'll probably skip that one. So anyway, it's an interesting change. And like I said, I this is something that they brought up and they're pointing out. So I wanted to make sure that that I mentioned that. So, okay, about delves, and this is a very, very long article or blog post that they put on the forums. And basically, what it boils down to is two things: they are increasing the amount of XP that you get for level up delves, and they're reducing the difficulty for max level delves because they're too hard. Say across the board, we've increased the XP rewards from the delves during the level up as they felt a bit too low. Okay. We've also done a general tuning pass across all tiers, and we'll continue to monitor difficulty for all specs and classes. From your feedback and from our testing, we saw that delves became particularly punishing throughout level up, and that many specs felt like they had to be several levels higher or several item levels higher than the recommended item level to survive. We're continuing to review the tuning for classes that are struggling in delves. We've seen your feedback on which classes are having a hard time. We also have our own data that shows performance for each delve by class and spec. That's really interesting. They're tracking it, and they're looking, and they're going, oh wow, look at this. The fire mages are having a rough time. The shadow priests are really struggling. Actually, I don't think they would. But anyway, keep it coming, and we'll keep you updated. Yeah, so that's the real thrust of it. There's a bunch of other things that they talked about here, but that's the main meat of delves. The rest of it is kind of going through the process of how they're going to work, and it really doesn't make sense if you haven't been on the beta and you haven't tried out the delves. Me going through and explaining to you how they all work isn't really going to make sense. You got to kind of get out there and get into it, or at the very least have a video showing the direct interface and how the delves specifically work at each step of the way. So I mean, maybe that's something that I'll do. I don't know. I don't want to commit to anything like that. But yeah, basically it's they recognize that they need to fine tune these things. And then when players say, hey, we're having trouble with this, they go, okay, well, we're going to address that. I think that this is great. Again, Blizzard of old would not have done this. They would have said, well, we'll fix it down the road, which would have been 11.2 or something. And meanwhile, delves are completely failing as a game system because it's too hard, or certain classes can't do it. It's like if every class could do the mage tower except for or every spec could do the mage tower except for balanced druids and mages, that would be frustrating for those classes. So all right, so yeah, that's delves. And there was one other thing, I can't remember if I mentioned this last week, but there's a death counter in delves. So this is something that I will mention. There's a death counter in delves. After the death counter, you cannot earn the high reward anymore. So you'll get a consolation prize. I'm like, what is it called? You'll get a consolation prize if you still complete it after the death counter has expired. So you can still do it, but to get the really good rewards, you need to do it in the requisite number of deaths. And this is one of the reasons why they're adjusting the difficulty. They increased that from 5 to 10. So if you're a class that is struggling with delves on the beta, and you're like, oh, this is going to suck when this goes to live, it's going to be a little easier because you have more chances to do something, and a little bit more flexibility to try something maybe a little bit more difficult. I think when you give players just a handful of deaths, they're really scared, and they protect those more closely. If you have 10 deaths, it's like, well, I can waste 2 deaths trying to do this pull in a certain way, and then go, all right, that's not working. I need to crowd control. I need to kite. I need to whatever. So there's a lot of ways that you can approach the content, but this gives players just a little bit more flexibility. So, all right, moving on. Oh, this one hits really close to home. Healing updates in the War Within. Oh, Blizzard. Kyvex again on the forums. Hello, healers of Azeroth. In today's new beta build, we're making some significant changes to healing that we've outlined in the development notes. So this is talking about increasing the health of players and reducing the amount healed by healers so that they didn't have to challenge players with large attacks in order to make the healer gameplay interesting. So we did talk about that a few weeks ago, but basically what it boils down to is health pools are increasing relative to their Dragonflight values. And they've changed how it feels to heal other players in a variety of content. So, most notably, we're reducing the strength of percentage-based healing spells to keep them in line with their intended power. And we're increasing the effectiveness of hybrid healing and single-target heals to ensure they remain an effective means of defensive power. Yeah, and they don't give specifics on what spells are being reduced and what spells are being increased. But I think this is more like if you're for a shaman healer, for example, it would be healing wave, healing surge. Those are going to get increased. And I believe things like chain heal will probably stay the same. I think healing rain is not percentage based. I don't know. It's weird because the percentage based healing spells to me that's not very many of them. I can't even think of one off the top of my head. So I read this and I thought, okay, I wish that we had the list. But basically this is the same thing that they did at the end of Dragonflight Season 1, where they said, hey, we're going to increase the health pools so that it takes more to heal people up. And it doesn't work. Unfortunately, I don't think that this is going to really help. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I have done some healing on the beta. It doesn't feel bad. But I guess, I haven't done any high-level content other than I did a couple of keys. That was about it, with 2s. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm not excited about healing in the War Within, honestly, but I'm going to try it out. I love healing. I love playing a healer. This is very near and dear to my heart, so I hope that they get this right. It says, we hope with these adjustments that healing doesn't become any easier or harder. We intend to shift some of the challenging moments from overwhelming bursty damage to a more sustaining healing profile. So, I appreciate what they're trying to do. I really do. I hope it works the way that they intend and the way that players are going to enjoy and not just be frustrating for healers, because then you're just going to have healers quitting, healers re-rolling DPS, and then it's going to get frustrating. So, all right. The last thing for the War Within is the Mythic Plus Affix update. So, again, Blizzard of old would not have done this. Okay, so first they have a new affix, Xal'atath's Bargain Voidbound. While in combat, Xal'atath summons Void Emissary to empower nearby enemies, gradually increasing their damage. Upon defeating the Void Emissary, players harness the Void energy for themselves, increasing their critical chance by 20% for 20 seconds, which is great. That's a great buff. A lot better for some classes, but in general, it's really good. Basically, the way this works is this Void Emissary has a shield. You have to burn down the shield, and as soon as it's gone, Void Emissary will disappear, and you'll get the buff. So, and as long as the Void Emissary is there, I think it's like 5% for every, I forget what the number is, but anyway, the longer that this thing is alive, the more powerful the mobs are going to get. So your goal is to get this thing burnt down as quickly as possible, and then go back to killing the mobs with your new 20% crit buff. Now, they've made some adjustments to the existing Xal'atath's Bargain affixes. So Ascendant, which is one with all the orbs coming down, they said, we've seen a lot of feedback regarding the visual noise caused by the number of orbs being created. To address this issue, we're reducing the total number of orbs of Ascendants from 20 to 10. Okay, that's not bad. There was a lot of orbs. That's a lot. And if you weren't familiar with how this one worked, basically you had to do something to it. It could be AoE. It's like if you remember in the Razageth fight when you had to interrupt all of those orbs. And you could do any number of things. You could do a disrupting shout. You could stun them. You could whatever. There was a lot of things you could do that would cause the orbs to go away. This works in a very similar sort of way, but basically anything that does a stun, interrupt, that sort of thing. So 10 orbs now is going to make this feel a lot better. It would be a lot easier to get all the orbs down, which means the players are going to get the buff, which means this is going to be a really fun affix. Now, the other one, Xal'atath's Bargain Frenzied. So this is one that gives a haste buff to the mobs and then causes them to take more damage. So basically a damage buff to the players. They say, we've heard the feedback that this affix feels less visible compared to Ascendant and is more punishing due to its passive nature without too much counterplay. It's also less thematic compared to Ascendant, where Xal'atath is present throughout the dungeon. With these considerations, we're removing this affix from beta testing. And that's it, just like that. They said, oh, you guys don't like this one? Psh, gone. It's gone. You don't get this one anymore. We're taking it away. And again, like I said, Blizzard of old would have just said, oh, well, we'll fix it down the road. And here they're just like, oh, no, okay, you guys don't like it? It's gone. I mean, who is this Blizzard and what have you done with my real Blizzard? I mean, I like it. I like what they're doing. It's weird. It's very un-Blizzard like. So, yeah, this is very exciting. And again, remember these Xalatath's bargain affixes are for +2 keystones, +2 through 11. And then they go away at the 12. So if you just dabble in Mythic Plus, you're going to get these on every single run that you do. So it's really important to pay attention to how they work and understand that when these things happen, you do have to counterplay them right away. Because the longer it takes, the more buffs the mobs are going to get and the harder it's going to be. But if you knock it out really quickly and you get the orbs interrupted, you get the shield burnt down on the emissary, you're going to get a nice big buff and it's going to feel really good. So, well done, Blizzard, on the Mythic Plus side. I mean, this is great. Aside from the healer updates, which I'm nervous about, but I don't feel bad about the healer updates. I'm just nervous because I don't trust Blizzard. It's not that I don't think that they're capable of doing content or whatever. I'm just nervous. So, okay, let's move on to the last bit, which is Season of Discovery. Okay, so the Season of Discovery patch is on the servers. The phase will not go live until Thursday, which is the 11th at 1 p.m. Pacific time. So the way it's going to work is July 11th at 1 p.m. Phase 4 begins and the level cap is raised to 60. So you can start leveling up from 50 to 60 or from whatever level you were to 60. July 18th at 1 p.m. Pacific, the Tainted Scar and Stormcliff's raid instances become available. So this is the Lord Kazak and Azurgos single boss raids. So no more world boss for those bosses. It's just they're in an instance. You go kill them, and it's those bosses or those raids will still have the twice a week reset. So it'll be Tuesday and Saturday, I think it was, or Wednesday and Saturday. I forget what it was. Anyway, doesn't matter. Twice a week, and you'll be able to knock those out. And then July 25th at 1 p.m. Pacific time, Onyxia's Lair and the Molten Core raid instances become available. So if you are really itching to get into Molten Core, you won't be able to do it until the July 25th. But that gives people plenty of time to get leveled up, to run Blackrock Depths or up over Blackrock Spire or Dire Maul to get their pre-raid best in slot items, or in some cases their raid best in slot items, honestly. And get all prepared, get ready. Getting to level 60 is a big thing in Vanilla Classic, even in Season of Discovery. It's going to be a big deal because it's when a lot of your power opens up. You've got all your talent trees. If you've got a specific build like a 31-20 build or a 30-21 build, that's going to give you just Omega power. That plus your runes. I mean, there's a lot, and this will also give players a chance to find all those runes before they're having to go into Molten Core and Onyxia's Lair. So pretty cool. The other thing that there's two other things for Season of Discovery. First of all, the priest racial. So they what they said was it doesn't matter what race you play your priest. If you are a dwarf, if you're a night elf, if you're undead, if you are a troll, it doesn't matter what kind of priest you are. You're going to have access to all the racials. But they never said how that was going to work. Well, now we know how it's going to work. So basically, there's going to be a world or a one-time realm event or quest that once it's completed, and we don't know exactly how this is going to work because it's Season of Discovery and they're not telling us the details, but it's going to be a one-time unlock for all priests. Once that's done on each server, all priests will be able to switch their racials. So if you've got, if you're a night elf and you've got star shards and you're tired of it and you really want Fear Ward, as soon as that's done, you'll be able to switch it up. So I think that's pretty cool. And, I never liked having to play a dwarf in Classic. I did it one time. I think it was Season of Discovery. I forget when it was. Or Season of Mastery. It doesn't matter. Anyway, playing a dwarf for me, that's not my thing. I don't like dwarves. I probably will not even play an earthen, honestly, but that's beside the point. The point is that for players to really get the most out of playing a priest, they're really looking forward to this Fear Ward. So hopefully this is something pretty easy to do, and yeah, that's that. The other thing, if you're a Shadow Priest and you're like, I don't give a rip about Fear Ward, once this is done, you'll also have access to Devouring Plague, so that'll be really cool as well. So I don't think anybody really wants Star Shards, but I guess we'll see. All right, the last thing for Season of Discovery, and then we'll move on to This Week in World of Warcraft. But the last thing is that all new spell books will be available on a vendor. And so this is the spells that you could get from like Scarlet Monastery, the level up spells. Maybe you missed one, maybe you didn't get it for whatever reason. You'll be able to get them from a vendor now. So that's like the Druid Resurrection spell, the Shadow Fiends, different spells that really are going to help flesh out your class and make you feel more like a retail character or a modern WoW character. You'll be able to get those from a vendor. So for Alliance, it's Milton Sheaf in Stormwind, and for the Horde, it's Zor Lone Tree in Orgrimmar. So yeah, make sure you check those out when you get into Season of Discovery Phase 4. Wow, that was a lot of news, a lot of talking about what's going on. But you know, Blizzard hit us with a lot of stuff in the last couple of days. It was a really slow news week, and I was like, well, I don't really know what I'm going to talk about in the podcast this week because there was really not a lot of news. And then just boom, 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 they hit us really hard. So, I mean, it's good from a content creation standpoint, but it's like, oh, that's a lot to digest. So, all right, let's move on to This Week in World of Warcraft.
Let's talk about World of Warcraft.
In Dragonflight, this is, oh boy, Season 4 week. Oh, I don't have the week written down. What are we on, week 12? I think we're in week 12. Yeah, week 12. Dragonflight Season 4, week 12. And probably, and I don't want to make any guarantees, but probably we're going to end on week 13. Next week will be the last week. So, yeah, if you are looking for your rating for Mythic Plus or PvP, yeah, like I said before, you're down to your last 2 weeks. Probably. The Mythic Plus affixes for the week are Fortified, Entangling, and Bolstering. Fortified, you know it, you love to see it. Non-bosses have more health and deal 30% more damage. I don't know why, but Fortified is like, I don't know. It's so much better than Tyrannical. It's just, if I had to pick one, I think every time it's going to be Fortified. But, you know, back when Keystones were easier to do and a +2 was a lot easier, it was way lower level. Fortified was actually harder. The bosses were so easy because it's just nobody had any health at +2. Now that they're a lot harder, yeah, once it's a Tyrannical week, I don't have any interest. So, yeah, Fortified, this is probably your last Fortified week then too. So if you're trying to get rating and you need some Fortified dungeons, this is the last week to get them. Okay, Entangling is the +5 affix. Entangling vines periodically appear in slow players. Moving away from the vines will snap the vine, remove the debuff, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I mean, it's whatever. It's Entangling. This one I never really minded because it's pretty easy. The counterplay is really easy on it, but you know, it is what it is. And then finally, Bolstering. Non-boss enemies buff nearby allies on death, increasing damage by 20%. This effect stacks. So Bolstering is one of the worst ones because it's very easy to build a one-shot mob that will just obliterate your tank and ruin your day. So again, this one's going away, so it doesn't really matter. Like I said last week, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this particular segment because, you know, I really just don't feel like it's that crucial to players to hear about what the affixes are for the week. It's going to be one of those Alatath affixes, or what the weekly content is going to be, and you just pick the 2 you want to do or the 4 you want to do. So I'm not sure, but more than likely this will meld into something else. I'll still talk about the holidays and what's going on there, and if there's a bonus event sort of thing going on. But yeah. All right. In the weekly content. So we are still in Dragonflight. So the last hurrah this week is going to be Season 3 content. So that's Amir Drasil, the Dream's Hope, and Orastar the Hibernating is the world boss in the Emerald Dream. Your last hurrah quest will be the Emerald Dream stuff. So it's going to be the Dream Surge, the Super Bloom, and the Dream Seeds. And you'll get a Cache of Awakened Dreams when you complete that. So if you have an alt or you maybe have just come back to the game and you're like, oh, my gear stinks, I have Season 1 gear, this is a great way to get some gear. So you'll get a veteran piece of gear from each of the 3 world event things that you do. Some of them will give you 2, depending on how that particular item works. But you'll get a few veteran pieces, and then you'll also get a champion piece for completing the last hurrah quest. So it's not bad. I'm okay with it. You also get the Sign of Awakened Dreams buff, which increases your reputation gains with Dream Wardens and Valdrakken Accord by 50%. So if you're trying to get that last bit of rep before the Warbands consolidation, this is pick your highest reputation character and do the Valdrakken Accord or Dream Wardens content with them. Speaking of reputation, now this one's pretty good. This is the bonus event for this week is the World Quest bonus event. And this one's really good for getting rep. It stinks for everything else. So if you have all the rep you need, you could pretty much skip this one. But if you don't, so you'll get the Sign of the Emissary, which is reputation gains from World Quests increased by 50%. Not bad. And then you'll get the quest The World Awaits from Khazra in Valdrakken to complete 10 world quests in the Dragon Isles and earn 2,500 reputation with the faction of your choice. So that's 1 renown level. For those listening at home, that's 1 renown level that you'll get for completing this quest. So plus the reputation that you'll get from doing the world quests in the first place. And you can get Loam Niffin, you can get Dream Wardens, you can get whoever you want. But if you do Dream Wardens or Valdrakken Accord, you'll get the 50% buff for those as well. So if you are Valdrakken Accord is one of the tough ones. If you're struggling to get to renown 30, I would definitely complete this, and this will get you probably a level and a half or so of renown. So that's not bad. All right. The PvP brawl for this week is South Shore versus Terran Mill. And I love this because this is what we used to do back in the day. We just run back and forth between South Shore and Terran Mill. You go and you kill them, and then as they start rezzing at the graveyard and your team starts dying, you have to run back to your graveyard, and then they chase you, and then the guards run back and forth, and it's just a lot of fun. This turns it into a more there's more structure to it, and there's rules. So it's a 40 by 40 deathmatch style brawl. First team to get 150 kills wins. It's just fun. It's just a true brawl. You just get in there and just go. And try not to die. Good luck. And then when you zone into the brawl, you'll get the quest Something Different, which is to win a PvP brawl, and you'll be rewarded with Conquest, Honor, and Marks of Honor. So enjoy that. All right. So there's a micro holiday on the calendar, which I had never even heard of. I guess this was a thing that started in Battle for Azeroth. It's called Luminous Luminaries, and you have to go into Vashir and try and get these things from these fish, and then you have to use a light because it's too dark to see, but then if the whale shark comes by and he sees the light, he'll come eat your fish. I wasn't really clear on the details, but if you want to check this out, it's July 13th in Vashir, and you go over there, and you can. There's no tangible reward that I can see from it. You're not going to get a buff. You're not going to get a fish pet that rides around the world with you. It's just you go there and you do the thing, and you can get some rewards that you can use while you're doing the thing. So if this is something that you want to go check out, I would say go do it, especially if you really liked Vashir as a zone. This is definitely worth your time. I'll probably pass on this one because I hated Vashir, but this is, some of these micro holidays, it's like, I don't even know what this is. This is so bizarre. And WoW players are very reward motivated. So if you don't give a true reward for something, a lot of players aren't going to do it. But, sometimes the reward is just the experience. So if you want to go check this out, definitely give that a try. It's July 13th. And then finally, the Dark Moon Fair is still in town. They will be here also until July 13th. July 13th at 11:59 p.m. So make sure you You knock that out at midnight Pacific time. So don't wait until the reset. It's not going to be there if you go the next day. So Dark Moon Fair, great. This is the second to last Dark Moon Fair of Dragonflight. We'll get one more in the beginning of August, where you'll still be able to get your Dragonflight profession skill points and knowledge points. You're running out of time. If you have not gotten all your knowledge points for your professions, like I haven't gotten, but I kind of just gave up on it. But if you really want to get those maxed out and you want to, fill up all your boxes and fill up your UI, this is a good way to do it. It's 3 knowledge points and then 2 skill points. So certainly if you haven't leveled up all the way, this is a great way to do it. But even if you have, you're going to get knowledge points from this. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. Okay. I think that's it for this week in World of Warcraft. Not a lot going on in game. Honestly, it's just get ready for the war within. Honestly, that's what it boils down to. I like this time of WoW where it's like this end of the expansion, but it's also a lot of anticipation of, okay, well, when is this new thing going to start? I do like it, but at the same time, I log into WoW and it's like, there's nothing to do. There's no quests that I want to complete. There's no, I don't really feel like running a bunch of Mythic Plus to get rating or to get gear that I'm just going to end up replacing in a few weeks. So I don't know. I'm not saying don't play WoW. I'm saying find the thing that makes you happy and that you enjoy. And if you don't enjoy any of this stuff, go do something else. Maybe try Mop Remix. Maybe go check out Season of Discovery. You don't have to log into Dragonflight just to play WoW. You could check out Cataclysm Classic too if you really wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. So, all right, let's move on to something new.
Let's talk about something new.
Okay, so with Mop Remix on the back half and basically starting to wind down, a lot of people have kind of finished with Mop Remix. They've got their characters maxed out. They're able to one-shot everything through normal and heroic raids. Some people are even clearing Mythic Siege of Orgrimmar solo. They've got a million threads on their cloak. They've got whatever. They've got their alts. A lot of people have leveled up a lot of alts, and that's great. I have 3 that have leveled up, and it's a lot of fun. But there's definitely less content or less engaging content that I feel like I need to participate in. And the way that so I think Blizzard have created this event in such a way that it's designed to give us something to do while we're waiting for the War Within to launch, it makes sense. But aside from that, the event itself doesn't really have any long-lasting value other than the transmog that you got along the way, because these characters are going to get converted into retail characters. They're going to lose all of their special powers. A lot of people aren't even going to know how to play their characters in retail or in modern WoW because they're so used to playing at the Mists of Pandaria remix style. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the Mop Remix and how that transition is going to go, and what Blizzard has coming up for the next few weeks or the next few months as we're going into expansion launch season. So first of all, I think it's really interesting that the timing of everything. We knew when Mop Remix was going to end pretty early on in the process, but we didn't know when the War Within was going to launch until a few weeks ago. And I don't know if Blizzard had this timed or if they just got really lucky that, hey, we hit most of our development milestones, or if they got a hard, all right, you have to launch the new expansion by this date. Doesn't matter if it's ready, whatever state you're going to be in, that's when you're going to launch. I don't know, but I think that having the remix in there has been really good. But I wish that Blizzard could, I wish that there was a smoother transition from Mop Remix to Modern WoW to Dragonflight of the War Within. I do feel like having a bailout option would be great. If you go, I'm done with Remix, but I really like this character and I'd like to start learning how to play them correctly, transfer them over to Dragonflight. Why not? Or if you're like, hey, I want to continue with this character, I want to continue doing Miss Pandaria Remix. I guess the event has a hard end date. And so I think for a lot of people, that's going to be really rough. That's going to be very frustrating. And I think sometimes when you have these shortened events, like Plunderstorm was a 6-week event, but there was you didn't have any permanence tied to your character. There was no individuality. You just made an avatar and you ran around Fortnite style, and that was that. But with Remix, it's really interesting because players are making these characters and creating an attachment to these characters that, I mean, yeah, you're going to bring that character over to Modern WoW, but it's not going to be the same. That character is not going to feel the same. They're going to be weak. They're going to be underpowered. They're going to have, unless they give us, like I said, a bailout option, they're going to have 3 or 4 days to do the pre-patch events for the War Within to get some gear, and then that's going to be it. So unless we have a lot of Warbound account or Warbound gear that we can give to our alts that come over from Remix, that's going to feel terrible, honestly. And the reason that I want to talk about this is because I was looking at my list of alts that I have and who I want to play, and I really love playing the Holy Paladin on Remix. It's a lot of fun. Whether I'm healing or whether I'm just running through the dungeon and just trying to smack everything real quick, it's a lot of fun. But I'm really not sure how that character is going to translate into Modern WoW, because it's just not, I'm having a hard time drawing a direct line from Remix to a Dragonflight character, because they don't, to me, they don't exist in the same realm, and they don't, but it is a WoW character, and it is a character that you will be able to play in the War Within. So I'm curious to see what Blizzard does with this going forward. And then when are we going to see another Remix, or when are we going to see another event? We got Plunderstorm early on in the year, and what else does Blizzard have up their sleeve? Because you recall in the roadmap, there's nothing on there that has anything to do with special events. I mean, we have the anniversary event coming up in November, so that could be a Plunderstorm / Remix style event, I suppose. But the only thing that it says on there is 20th anniversary event. That's it. That's all we got. And that's supposed to come with 11.0.5 sometime in autumn, which I'm assuming is going to be sometime in October, based on the expansion launch date, October, early November. But yeah, this is weird. We've gotten so much content for so long, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, there's nothing left. We've got the War Within launching August 26th or August 22nd, depending on if you count early access to be the official launch date. We've got the 11.0.5 patch that was on the roadmap, and as far as Modern WoW, and then in Classic, the only things we have left are Rise of the Zandalari, which is Phase 2 of Cataclysm Classic. We've got Rage of the Firelands, which is Phase 3, and then Season of Discovery Phase 5. So from the launch of the War Within, there's 4 updates that we're going to get to World of Warcraft going forward that we know of. Now, Blizzard could always surprise us with something new, but I don't know. I'm curious to see where this is all going and what we're going to end up with when all is said and done, because honestly, I'm a little nervous about the state of World of Warcraft, because we saw how bad it was for Season of Discovery when they got to level 50. Sunken Temple was the raid, and the people raiding just dropped off. The raid was hard, it was once a week, and it was 20 players, so those things were all very different. And it could be any of them, or it could be none of them. It could be that people are just getting tired of Season of Discovery. It could be that people are just like, I just want to get to level 60. I don't know. But I think that talking about the future of Classic and the future of Modern WoW as much as I have, I'm really interested in this topic. And I think that this might be something that I do a little bit more research on and do a full YouTube video on, because honestly, to me, this is the type of thing, and this is the reason why I started this podcast, and this is the reason why I'm so interested in this sort of content, because I love speculating, and I want to look at what's coming and speculate on, well, how is this going to look? We have 4 months after the launch of the War Within and 4 content updates. Are we talking 1 a month for the rest of the year? That's crazy, because we've been getting so much content that we're so spoiled. Honestly, that's really what it boils down to. We're spoiled, and I'm not convinced that that Blizzard doesn't have another surprise up their sleeve. But I guess we'll see. But yeah, if we look at the roadmap and we look at the timeline, we'll probably get Rise of the Thantalari here within the next couple weeks. I mean, I could see that launching maybe the end of July, the week of the 30th, or even the week of the pre-patch, if we do get pre-patch on July 23rd. I don't really think it could go much longer than that. I mean, it's already been 8 weeks since the launch of Cataclysm Classic. So that's their window. That's what they said they want to try and do for Modern WoW. I'm assuming they're going to do the same thing for Classic. And then they did say they wanted to get the Firelands in before winter. So sometime in September, October, November, we're going to get the Firelands as well. So it's coming fast. And if you are a Cataclysm Classic enjoyer, you're going to run out of content real fast because there's only one more update after that. And then, Season of Discovery, Phase 5, whatever that's going to be, because we don't know if we're going to get Blackwing Lair and the Zul'Gurub raid in Phase 4, or if we're going to wait for Phase 5 for that. We don't know how that's going to look. Blizzard had kind of indicated they were going to give us the content really fast, but we don't know because they're obviously not telling us. And so, like I said, are we going to get another remix style event for the anniversary? That would be kind of cool. Something that Classic players can do as well. I think that would be really nice if we had from maybe the beginning, maybe the entire month of November, a 4-week event. You go, all right, this event is going to take place over this 4-week period in November. You can go onto the Anniversary Realm and play an Anniversary character and get all the rewards, and all that transmog converts to your Modern WoW character or to your Cataclysm Classic character, honestly. Why not? Or maybe there's specific rewards that you can earn for Classic and specific ones you can earn for Modern WoW, like they did with Plunderstorm. I don't know. I'm really curious to see what ends up happening. But like I said, we're going from a lot of content happening really fast, a lot of as I like to say, wham bam, thank you ma'am, to it's the quiet time. And I know a lot of that is to give the War Within some space to breathe. I get that. But it's also a little odd that we went so hard and so fast. I mean, if they had delayed the War Within until September, I don't think anyone would have balked at that. I think everyone would have been like, yeah, okay, that's fine. But we're getting it in August, and then we're going to have very little content through the end of the year. So anyway, I want to speculate on what's going to happen. And really that's all this is boiling down to is that speculation. So if Blizzard gives us something really cool, a la Remix or Plunderstorm, I think that would be great. If the anniversary is just go to the Caverns of Time and answer some trivia questions and kill some world bosses, I'm honestly going to be kind of disappointed. I feel like they could do a lot better for the 20th anniversary of World of Warcraft and the 30th anniversary of the Warcraft franchise, honestly. So will Blizzard do that? Who knows? They haven't really said what the 20th anniversary event is going to look like, and it wasn't on any of the Classic roadmaps. So there might not be a Classic version of the anniversary. It might be, like I said, just an Anniversary Realm that you log on to and you do your thing. So we'll see. We'll see what that looks like and what ends up happening. But time will tell. All right, let's move on to the weekly rant.
It's time for the weekly rant.
All right, I did it again. I learned my lesson somewhat, but I made another Reddit post and I pissed a lot of people off. And it wasn't even anything big. I took a screenshot on the beta of the Mythic 0 gear being veteran track now instead of champion track like it is in Dragonflight. So I took that screenshot, I posted it on Twitter, and I posted it on Reddit thinking, hey, this is new, this is interesting. I got downvoted a lot on that. I don't know, maybe people just don't like me on Reddit, but I got downvoted. somebody said, "Oh, I think they announced this already," and I was like, "Well, no, they didn't." And I looked at the announcement; it didn't say anything about it. Downvoted. So I posted a link to the announcement that they made and quoted the section that talks about Mythic 0. Downvoted. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to cut my losses here. I'm going to let it go. So I'm not going to do a whole rant on this because at this point, I'm so frustrated with Reddit, or at least trying to communicate on Reddit. It's hard building a Twitter following. And to be perfectly frank, as a behind the scenes, I'm trying to create engagement on Twitter, but it's hard. It's really hard. You've got to follow people. You've got to get them to follow you. You've got to make a lot of tweets that honestly are there just to create engagement. And it's not fun. It stinks. And I'm just going to stick to making content and posting my updates on Twitter when I release content. And if I can get people to engage with me on there, great. If I can't, well, so maybe it wasn't meant to be. But I'm really struggling with Twitter. So I thought, well, I love posting on Reddit. I love reading Reddit. I'll post something on there. No, not going to happen. So lesson learned, no more posting on Reddit. Unless it's, I don't know. Maybe I just no more posting on Reddit. I don't know. Maybe I'll create a new Reddit account. Maybe people just don't like me on there. So anyway, I don't want to do a whole rant. I just wanted to say that one thing. Because I just thought it was kind of funny that people on Reddit do not want me talking about Mythic Dungeons and Mythic Plus. So, all right, I know it's to me it's ridiculous, but it's what it is. All right, that's going to wrap up our show for this week. Thank you so much for listening and for watching. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to get on this microphone and talk to you. So, if you want to get hold of me directly, you can reach me on Twitter. I am @Denethar. Or you can email me. I am denethar1@gmail.com. Yeah, you can check me out on Twitch TV. I'm gonna give Twitch one more shot to try to stream, but I think if I do any sort of streaming going forward, it's gonna be on YouTube. To be perfectly honest, I'm not really loving the Twitch streaming game. So anyway, thank you again for listening. Remember to be good to each other out there. It's a real person on the other side of that keyboard, so be nice to them, smile. You don't need to downvote them on Reddit. That's not nice. You can just say, well, you know what? I don't like you, so I'm going to move on. All right. Take care, all. I love you, and I'll see you in Azeroth.